everybody, AJ Ryzik here, and today we're going to take a look at SeaMonkey, which is a suite of applications for online usage. We've got an internet browser, we've got an IRC chat client, we've got a contact manager, we've got, did I mention email? And we've got RSS feeds, and we've got news groups, all kinds of stuff that are all bundled together in this suite. Now let me pull it up here. I already installed it, so you can take a look. And I'll pull it over to this window. There we go. Okay, now, and of course this is the browser window. Probably to understand the whole concept behind SeaMonkey, you need to kind of roll back to our past to the early 90s. And back then, we cruised the internet with the Netscape Navigator, and we cruised very slowly because everybody had dial-up internet, and it wasn't even high-speed dial-up. It was really creeping slow. Uh, but uh, anyway, the Netscape Navigator was part of a Netscape suite. Well, in '98, the Netscape code went open source, and Mozilla grabbed a hold of it and developed the Mozilla Suite. Now, come to find out, about this time, the whole suite concept was starting to fall out of favor, and what was becoming more popular was, a separate um, web browser, a separate email client, and so on. So the Mozilla people decided that they would develop, and let me check my notes here so I get the names right. So they developed Phoenix and Minotaur. Now Phoenix would eventually be renamed Firefox, and Minotaur would be renamed Thunderbird. But there was a group of individuals that they liked the whole suite concept and wanted to stay with it. So they continued the development of the Mozilla Suite, renaming it SeaMonkey. And, as they say, the rest is history. Now, current versions of SeaMonkey are based on the current version of Firefox and Thunderbird. So, for the most part, the features that you're going to find in currently in Thunderbird or Firefox, you're going to find here. Basically, what we're looking at is a bit different interface. I have noticed that on setting a few things up, the current version of Firefox is easier to work with, or also the current version of um, Thunderbird. And I'll kind of show you as I go through things here. But for the most part, the features are compatible from one to the next. Since I've already got the browser open, that's probably the best place to start. Um, as you can see, by default, it opens up to the SeaMonkey project page, which is probably a good place to start. It's got a built-in Google search for you. You can learn a little bit about the history of the project, about the community getting involved, documentation, um, different releases, um, uh, access to the plugins and add-ons, that sort of thing. And of course, the SeaMonkey merchandise. You know, everybody, you got to get your, you know, pick a logo here, and boom, you can get your SeaMonkey sweatshirt, coffee cup, whatever. Let me close that tab up. Okay, so anyway, here we are on the home page, and it's a pretty nice looking browser. Um, it integrates well with the theming of, I'm running Ubuntu Gnome here. theming, it's not all wacky or anything like that. Like everything that comes out of Mozilla, you got buku options here. Just looking at view, you can see all these different bars that we've got here. Now we're looking at the stock view here, but you can even add. You can also add this what they call that bar. I forgot, our website navigation bar. Um, and then there's also a sidebar you can add, which I thought was pretty cool here. That it would list your bookmarks along the sidebar, which I think that looks pretty useful to me. Um, I'm one where all these extra bars up at the top, it seems like a waste of space because your actual viewing area shrinks down. Um, but with the layout, we most of us have widescreen monitors these days, um, so you can afford to lose a little space along, in the sidebar area. Um, so I mean, personally, probably keep the navigation toolbar, that one there, but we could get rid of that one there, and probably get rid of the bookmarks toolbar too, since we're going to show the bookmarks on the side. So, I'd probably set it up something like that. And then, of course, you can go and tweak, what's on the various bars and whatnot. So, you know, just like with Firefox, there's a lot of options there for tweaking how it appears. Um, and let me kind of go back. We'll go through everything here. Most of most of this, you're gonna, is the typical see things that you would see in most browsers here under File, and especially if you're familiar with Firefox, all this stuff's going to be real familiar to you. Um, cool thing here, you can you got some nice shortcuts for launching different applications and like launching a new tab, new browser window, that sort of thing. Um, and the fact that you can hit Control plus T to open more browser windows, that's cool. The one thing that I don't like, I'd like them to have a little close bar on these, but to close the tab you got to right click and then click close tab. But the kind of on the alternate side, the nice thing about that is like, say I wanted to keep this untitled tab open, I could click close other tabs and close everything else up. So I mean, I guess you take the good with the bad. um, and of course, like everything else, you can tweak it like you wouldn't believe. um, Under this supply theme, if you are familiar with how on Firefox they've got the various themes that you can add, same thing here. um, just go to get more themes, and you go to the Mozilla add-ons page, add in some themes. um, and there's some specific ones for SeaMonkey. You don't have to just use the ones for Firefox. Wow, I had a brain freeze there. That SeaMonkey Gray looks pretty cool. Let's add that there and see what that takes. Let's see what that looks like. My guess is I have to reboot SeaMonkey to see what that looks like. Oh, that's cool. Only downside is that doesn't match the top there but anymore. But yeah, that's cool looking. I like the kind of retro buttons there. Anyway, so there we got the browser. bookmarks. You can see you got a variety of tools for working with your bookmarks, that sort of thing. So while using the browser, I went to a variety of different websites just to see, make sure that everything loaded correctly, videos played, all that kind of stuff. Happy to report everything works just fine. Here we are on my blog page, chroniclesofariaprime.com. That loaded just fine. Here's web update, that loaded just fine. I did notice that occasionally um, pictures take a little while to load, um, but that can be just the particular website, not necessarily the browser itself. Um, and of course, it could be the browser too. This is why I always recommend that people have at least two different browsers on their computer, just because you will run into where one web page just does not load correctly using, say, Firefox or SeaMonkey, but then you switch over to Chrome and it works just fine. And the opposite can happen too. Um, so, always good to have at least two browsers to work with. But anyway, for the most part, things loaded just fine. Here it is on YouTube. Videos play just fine. Um, you know, all that stuff worked great. And a neat feature that I found, um, when you're done with the browser, when you go to close it, you have the option of the save and close. And what that does, let me close it up. And then when you go and reopen SeaMonkey again, it will go to the web pages that you had previously been at, which, if it's something that you commonly go to, or, I was like, oh, I know I got to come back to this next time I fire up the internet, you know, uh, it's a little bit of a time saver. Nice feature there. You know, uh, Playing around with the browser, you may be willing, or would like to just keep SeaMonkey on your computer just for the browser itself, because maybe you don't have a need for the email or the chat client, or any of the other stuff, but real nice browser. Well, let's take a look at the mail. And if you click on the window, where up in the toolbar here where it says window, and click on mail and news groups, we can go to there. Now I've already added one of my email accounts to this just so I could demonstrate, um, you know, first what you see, and then, um, we can go from there. But anyway, this is the default view, um, and you've got a little welcome message that you get when you first set this up. Default view is over on the left hand side. We've got a little tree showing the breakdown of our different folders and whatnot. We've got a list of all the emails up in this top area right here, and then this bottom area, whatever email we pick, you know that's where it'll display. And so forth, so on, that sort of thing. Now I've got different views, and personally, under the layout, that now they've got the classic view. They got this wide view, which uses up the whole entire bottom section, but my preference is for this vertical view, just because I think that this is the best use of screen real estate. Let me shrink that down just a little bit there. um, it gives you a decent area for reading the email, an area that you can look at the list of emails, and then you still got your tree over here. To me, for widescreen monitors, I think this is the best use of space. If you got one of the older 4/3 ratio monitors, probably, one of the other views might be better for you, but at least in my opinion, this is the best for widescreens. All right, so what I have found with the email client is that we have got lots of features, buku features here. More than I could completely cover in this video. Otherwise, we would be here for hours. Um, we have probably got one of the best search engines I have ever seen in email client. Like, just type in whatever you're looking for right there, click on whatever email folder you're looking for, and boom, it pulls it all. You got a list right there, and then you can go and look at, these are all my WordPress backups from my website. So I figured that was safe to show y'all, but it pulls it right up, instantly right now. You know, you can go and do an advanced search, and all kinds of settings that you can set over there. So like I said, probably one of the greatest searches I have ever seen for email. Um, Same thing with addresses. A great message filter. You know, you can customize it. Um, that was just activating it. Where was I? Run filters on folders, run filter on certain messages, run junk mail control. All kinds of stuff as far as that goes. Um, and I'll come back to import in just a minute. Um, you can switch user profiles, um, and then we already talked about the viewing and that sort of options there. Here's kind of what I found though, is that a lot of the features, the implementation, leaves something to be desired. Um, like for example, the importer. Now it seems fairly simple, um, but I found that it doesn't import very well at all. Now, like in the case of email, if you're using IMAP, it's not a big deal because everything's on the server. So once you hook up your IMAP, get your IMAP settings in there, it's all going to show up in your inboxes and whatnot. So that's not an issue. But um, as far as actual, like saying you're importing from Thunderbird or Evolution or one of those other email programs, as far as whether it worked or not, it was kind of wonky. So that didn't work so well. And talking about setting up your email, um, whereas probably the easiest um, email setups that I've seen recently are Geary and Evolution, where basically if you got, say, Gmail or Yahoo Mail, one of the big email services out there, you basically put in your email address and your password, and everything else is done for you. Not here. You need to know everything. You need to know your inbound and outbound servers. You need to know what port to set. Um, you need to know all your security settings. I mean, everything. Um, there is no automatically setting things up for you. So it's, as I said, it's still a little more, I guess you could say, old school on setting it up. In the past few years, we've gotten used to the, you know, um, things have been coded so that it does a lot of the work for you, and not here. You're going to have to put in all those settings on your own. Now, one of the neat features that I found is, now if you go over here and click on Window, you see where it says Composer. Well, that's for writing your email. The cool thing is you don't have to have your email client open to be able to compose your email. So you can just click on Composer, it pops up, and you can write an email right there. So that's kind of neat in that, like, let's say you're on, I don't know, you got a web page open and you say, oh, I got to send this person an email. Maybe you're researching something and you got to send that company an email. Boom, you can pull open the your Composer right there and write it on the spot. Um, Not a big deal, but it's a nice, neat little feature. So their contact manager, they just call it the address book. Yeah, that's cool. We'll pull that open here, and let me show you the good before I show you the bad. The good is, once again, plenty of features. Add a new contact, contact list, instant message from here, compose, all kinds of different stuff. So, I mean, features galore again. Searches, imports, exports, all that kind of stuff. Now, so I wanted to bring in, and here's where the bad starts. I wanted to bring in my Google contacts. So I go to import. Well, you can't import Google contacts from here. Now you can, let me click on address books and I'll pull let me pull the picture out of the way. Okay, so you want to import address books. Okay, so you can do it via a text file or vcard file, but you can't import from Google or Yahoo Mail, any of those. Okay, so what do I do? And I thought, well, maybe we got a plugin that'll do that for us. I thought, okay, so let's go to the Get Add-ons. And let's search for Google Contacts. And we're looking for something that works with SeaMonkey 2.26. Finding nothing. And I searched and searched and searched and searched. Nothing. I was like, now come on, there's got to be a plugin that does this. Well, there is, but it doesn't work with the current version. And reading through some of the comments on it, now they were using Thunderbird, and at Thunderbird 24.5, it started crashing, and it hasn't been updated since. And so kind of a bummer there. And here's what I've been noticing as I've been going through the various plugins, and this isn't just the with the Google importer, is that tons and tons of these plugins are out of date. Now I realize I'm working with the latest version of SeaMonkey, but a lot of these, they're just way out of date. And and I've noticed it with the Thunderbird plugins and the Firefox plugins too. And I don't know. Here's kind of my issue is that, like, with say the Gnome extensions, Gnome extensions, the current version is 3.12, and a majority of the extensions that are on the extension page, they're updated to 3.10. Some of them are working with 3.12, but most of them are 3.10, basically one version back. Well, we're not one version back on these. A lot of these are 5, 6, 7, 8 versions back. Just way out of date. And it's like, come on, if you're not going to keep it updated, don't put it in this in this add-on, I don't know. I mean, it just really frustrating to me. All right, so for an IRC chat client, they have Chatzilla, which is the same chat client plugin for Firefox. So, some of you may already be familiar with this. Now, at first, I really didn't want to review this part of SeaMonkey because I know absolutely nothing about chat clients. Never used one before. I wouldn't know a good one from a bad one or anything like that. So I thought, but I want to do a complete review. So you can see I pulled up here. I don't know what I'm looking at. Okay, so I thought, oh, I'll pull up the help. So I pull up help, go to help contents, and obviously this is a help for the entire SeaMonkey suite. Okay, that's fine. Nothing for Chatzilla. Okay, I looked under the plugins, I looked under browsing the web. There was no category for chat. Um, all kinds of stuff on how to customize SeaMonkey, but I could not find anything on how to use the chat client. So, I really wish that I could do a more in-depth review on what to do with the chat client, but I can't. I just could not find any documentation on it. So anybody that's watching the review and knows anything about Chatzilla, I would love for you to, you know, if you know of a web page that's got information on Chatzilla, I would love to hear about it because I don't know anything about chat clients. Like I said, never used one before, and you know, like I said, I don't know what to do with this thing. Well, that about sums everything up that I wanted to cover. Um, you know, I guess, the question comes up then, would I use SeaMonkey as a daily driver? Well, for me personally, probably not. Um, just because, normally I am a Chrome user for my internet. For my email, I generally am a Evolution user, although on my laptop I do have Geary on the laptop. Um, the As far as the chat client goes, I'm not going to use it, so that one doesn't make any bit of difference to me. Um, there's some neat features here, but like I was saying earlier in the review, some of the things it's kind of clunky and difficult to set up, and you know when you go to the plugins, which if you're a Thunderbird and Firefox user, you know that these are applications and whatnot that just run on plugin after plugin after plugin. And if most of the plugins aren't working for you, then well, you don't get all that extra added functionality. And at that point, if that stuff's not going to work for you, you might as well go with something much more stripped down and lighter weight. Um, I don't know. The like I said, the feature set here is unbelievable. There's just tons and tons of features. Um, it's just things like the plugins not working for the current version, and some of the stuff not working all that well. It's just, you know, I really can't say whether I'd want to keep on using this as a daily driver or not. Um, but I mean, everybody's different, so it's something neat to try out. So give it a shot. Let me know what you think. If you've used SeaMonkey, leave some comments down below and let everybody else know what you thought of it. Anyway, that about wraps things up here. As usual, if you want to keep getting this great content, click on the subscribe button that I throw up on this video. Be sure to leave comments and questions down below, and thanks for watching.